Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has continued to make phone calls with world leaders since President Donald Trump of the United States, U.S. announced that President Vladimir Putin of Russia will meet with him next week Friday in the U.S. state of Alaska, and stated while answering questions from the Whitehouse reporters that there will be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both Ukraine and Russia, specifically saying, "We will get some back, and we will get some switched. There will be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both," a statement that immediately and apparently drew the attention of the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, who have issued series of video and written press releases since President Donald Trump made the announcement, insisting that Ukraine will not cede any of its territory to Russia for the purpose of peace or to end the war, emphasizing that it was because President Putin occupied part of Ukraine territory in the past and assembled its troops Ukrainian borders without preventive punishment, made him to start full-scale war with Ukraine since 2022, adding that the path to peace for Ukraine must be determined together with Ukraine. This is fundamental. It is important that joint approaches and a shared vision work toward genuine peace, a consolidated position, ceasefire, end of occupation, end of war. According to Trump, the highly anticipated meeting between myself, as President of the United States of America, and President Vladimir Putin, of Russia, will take place next Friday, August 15, 2025, in the great state of Alaska. Further details to follow. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Zelenskyy, in a series of press releases on Saturday, said, "I have not heard any partners express doubts about America's ability to ensure that the war ends. The President of the United States has the levers and the determination. Ukraine has supported all of President Trump's proposals, starting back in February. Ceasefire, all formats have been supported. What is needed now is not a pause in the killings, but a real, lasting peace. Not a ceasefire sometime in the future, in months, but immediately. President Trump told me so, and I fully support it. There must be a just end to the war, and it is Russia that must end the war it started. Ukraine and all partners share the same understanding of the need for a ceasefire, for an end to the killings. There is only one actor opposing this, Putin. His only card is the ability to kill, and he is trying to sell the cessation of killings at the highest possible price. It is important that this does not mislead anyone. Results are needed at the leaders' level. Dignified results, results that will save lives, that the world will value, and for which it will be grateful to the leader who delivers them. Everyone clearly sees Putin's tactics. He fears sanctions and is doing everything to bail on them. He wants to exchange a pause in the war, in the killings, for the legalization of the occupation of our land. He wants to get territorial spoils for the second time. Putin was allowed to take Crimea, and this led to the occupation in Donetsk and Luhansk regions. He received no preventive punishment when he amassed a contingent on our borders. This led to the full-scale war and the occupation of even more parts of Ukraine. Now Putin wants to be forgiven for seizing the south of our Kherson region, Zaporizhia, the entire territory of Luhansk and Donetsk regions, and Crimea. We will not allow this second attempt to partition Ukraine. Knowing Russia, where there is a second, there will be a third. That is why we stand firm, on clear Ukrainian positions. We must end the war with a dignified peace, based on a clear and reliable security architecture. Our partners are ready to help us with this. We have just had a report from our team in the UK, from Andriy Yermak. There were talks among the security representatives of the US and Europe, Ukraine, the US Vice President Vance, the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Finland, Poland. The meeting was constructive. The path to peace for Ukraine must be determined together with Ukraine. This is fundamental. It is important that joint approaches and a shared vision work toward genuine peace. A consolidated position, ceasefire, end of occupation, end of war. Ukraine is ready for real decisions that can bring peace. Any decisions that are against us, any decisions that are without Ukraine, are at the same time decisions against peace. They will not achieve anything. These are stillborn decisions. They are unworkable decisions, and we all need real and genuine peace. Peace that people will respect. President Trump announced preparations for his meeting with Putin in Alaska, very far away from this war, which is raging on our land, against our people, and which anyway can't be ended without us, without Ukraine. Putin did not believe in our people and therefore made the hopeless decision to try to take Ukraine. This was his main mistake, not taking Ukrainians into account. I believe in our people. Ukrainians are strong. Ukrainians defend what's theirs. Many in the world have sided with Ukraine during the war. Even those who are with Russia know that Russia is doing evil. Of course, we will not reward Russia for what it has perpetrated. The Ukrainian people deserve peace. But all partners must understand what a dignified peace is. This war must be brought to an end, and Russia must end it. Russia started it and is dragging it out, ignoring all deadlines, and that is the problem, not something else. The answer to the Ukrainian territorial question already is in the constitution of Ukraine. No one will deviate from this, and no one will be able to. Ukrainians will not gift their land to the occupier. We are ready to work together with President Trump, together with all our partners for real and, most importantly, lasting peace. A peace that will not collapse because of Moscow's desires. I thank all our people for being together. Ukraine is. I thank all our soldiers for preserving our independence. Stand firm, this is our land, we are Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. There is already a lot of support, and it comes in the new circumstances, with a deadline now set for Russia to cease fire. So far, we see that the Russians are ignoring it, at least for now. Today has once again brought killings and Russian shelling. Over 100 strike drones were launched overnight against Ukraine, followed during the day by air bomb strikes, intense assaults on the front line, and yet more air raid alerts in our cities and communities. No orders to stop have been given to the Russian army. We are speaking with our partners to ensure real steps are taken. We are in constant communication with the American side, and our partners, for their part, are also engaging with the United States. All are united in the understanding that there is a chance to achieve at least a ceasefire, and that everything depends on the right pressure on Russia. I had a good conversation with President of Finland Alexander Stubb. We are coordinating positions for the most productive joint work with America. It is important that America has the determination and the ability to end the war, and we welcome President Trump's desire to stop the killings. To respond to Russia's intention to prolong the war and seize territorial spoils, we must act wisely and in coordination. Thank you for your support, Alexander. Ukraine and Finland have the longest borders with Russia in Europe, and our people know very well what threats this brings. We agreed to continue working together for our common security. I spoke with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. I am grateful for the support. We share the same view on the need for a truly lasting peace for Ukraine and on the danger of Russia's plan to reduce everything to discussing the impossible. Clear steps are needed, as well as maximum coordination between us and our partners. We value the determination of the United Kingdom, the United States, and all our partners to end the war. We are actively working for constructive diplomacy and to ensure that the decisions can work. We agreed on further contacts. I spoke with Prime Minister of Spain Pedro Sanchez. I am grateful for Spain's support for Ukraine and our people. I informed about the diplomatic situation and our contacts with partners, and shared our vision of what the next steps should be. The main thing now is to ensure that Russia does not once again impose its unrealistic conditions on anyone. It is important that Pedro and I share the same view. Europe's voice must be taken into account. We are coordinating our common European position. We are ready to move as quickly and constructively as possible toward a just peace. We also discussed Ukraine's path toward European integration. Ukraine has fulfilled all its obligations and is fully ready to open the first negotiating cluster. We discussed possible options and will look for solutions. We agreed to stay in touch. Thank you. I spoke with President of France Emmanuel Macron. I am grateful for the support. We exchanged views on the diplomatic situation. Ukraine, France, and all our partners are ready to work as productively as possible for the sake of real peace. It is truly important that the Russians do not succeed in deceiving anyone again. We all need a genuine end to the war and reliable security foundations for Ukraine and other European nations. I spoke with the Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen. I am grateful for the support. We discussed the diplomatic situation and communication with partners, both ours and Mette's. These days, diplomatic activity is extremely high. However, we see no changes in Russia's position. The Russians still refuse to stop the killings, still invest in the war, and still push the idea of exchanging Ukrainian territory for Ukrainian territory, with consequences that guarantee nothing except more favorable positions for Russia to resume the war. All our steps must bring us closer to a real end to the war, not its reconfiguration. And our joint decisions with partners must serve our common security. We also discussed with Mette our work toward EU membership, and the progress on this path for both Ukraine and Moldova. We share the same view on the need for a fair approach and the fulfillment of commitments for Ukraine and Moldova together. Thank you.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Nigeria police force has refuted claims that its men manhandled Sahara Reporters publisher Omiyele Sowore inside cell after the media personnel honored the invitation sent him from the Office of the Inspector General of Police, IGP, over allegations of forgery and criminal defamation of characters, with the police stating in a press release signed and made available after the detained media publisher was released on Friday night that Sowore allegedly brought bandages alongside other personal items when he came to the station to honor the police invitation, and when the IGP ordered internal investigation to ascertain if truly the media publisher was tortured as claimed. Sowore refused to allow medical personnel from the Nigeria police force check the alleged injury on his hand he had claimed he suffered as a result of the police personnel brutality while inside cell. Meanwhile, as at the time Sowore was released on Friday night, bandages were still seen wrapped around one of his hands as seen in the video while he was coming out from the IGP Rapid Response Team, IRT police detention facilities in Abuja, as stated by Sowore in the video. Shortly after his release from detention facilities at the IGP Rapid Response Team on Friday, Sowore posted on his social media handles and said that, "Freedom is never given. It is not a gift from the powerful, nor a token handed down by the oppressor. It must be seized with raw courage, with clarity, and with collective will. Those who sit in power never give it up willingly. That's why we take it back. Because freedom is ours and we will fight until it is no longer a dream but a lived reality." Nigeria Police Force, in a statement issued on August 8, 2025 and made available to the public, said, "The Nigeria Police Force is compelled to address and decisively correct the recent wave of disinformation being peddled in connection with the lawful arrest and detention of Mr. Omiyele Sowore, a figure known for manipulating public narratives and weaponizing propaganda to malign state institutions and their leadership, particularly the Office of the Inspector General of Police. Contrary to the falsehoods being circulated, Mr. Sowore was arrested based on credible, corroborated allegations involving criminal offenses such as forgery, cyberstalking, and other infractions currently under active investigation. The arrest was effected in full compliance with extant legal provisions, and with strict adherence to constitutional safeguards, due process, and the rights of the suspect. To be clear, Mr. Sowore was released on bail well within the 48-hour constitutional window, in accordance with the provisions of Section 35(4) of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. He is fully aware of the nature of the allegations against him and has been duly informed of the charges. He is expected to appear before a court of competent jurisdiction in the coming days to answer to the accusations in a lawful and transparent judicial process. Equally false and grossly misleading is the narrative suggesting that Mr. Sowore was tortured or subjected to any form of inhuman or degrading treatment while in custody. The Nigeria police force maintains a zero-tolerance policy for torture, in alignment with the provisions of the Anti-Torture Act, 2017, and in fulfillment of Nigeria's obligations under applicable international human rights instruments. The viral image of Mr. Sowore with a bandaged arm has been mischievously presented to mislead the public and stir unwarranted outrage. For the record, the bandage was part of his personal belongings at the time he honored the police's invitation, prior to his arrest and detention. In any case, upon receiving the report that Mr. Sowore was later seen wearing the bandage while in custody, the Inspector General of Police promptly ordered an internal investigation to ascertain how he had access to it during detention, particularly in light of his consistent refusal to undergo medical examination by the independent teams deployed by the police. This proactive step underscores the IGP's unwavering commitment to transparency, professionalism, and strict adherence to established custodial protocols. In the spirit of accountability and transparency, the force promptly responded to the claims of brutality by dispatching a medical team, led by the medical director of the Muhammadu Buhari Police Hospital, to conduct an independent examination on the 7th of August 2025. Mr. Sowore declined the evaluation. A second medical team, this time led by the force medical officer, was sent on the 8th of August 2025, and again, access was denied by the suspect. These refusals are officially documented. While the police respect the individual's right to decline medical assessment, the record must show that the opportunity for independent medical verification was twice provided and twice rejected. Furthermore, his continued detention is not arbitrary. It is anchored on a valid remand order issued by a competent court of jurisdiction. Every action taken by the Nigeria police force in this matter has been underpinned by legal authority, devoid of malice, bias, or political undertones. The force urges the media, civil society actors, and the public to exercise greater diligence, restraint, and professional responsibility in their reporting. Sensationalism, particularly when driven by those with personal vendettas against the police leadership, poses a clear risk to public trust and the integrity of ongoing investigations. The Nigeria police force reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the protection of human rights, respect for the rule of law, and the pursuit of justice without fear or favor. No individual, regardless of their status, influence, or social media reach, is above the law. Further updates on this matter will be provided as investigations proceed in accordance with due process. We had reported that the human rights activist and founder of Sahara Reporters News Network, Omiyele Sowore, has been reportedly manhandled on Thursday early morning inside police cell by officers from the Inspector General of Police, IGP Monitoring Unit, after the journalist honored the invitation sent him from the Office of the Inspector General of Police for a reason not stated, but the media personnel working with Omiyele Sowore in a statement on Thursday, made available through the verified personal social media handles of Sowore, said that the police presented 2 petitions against Sowore over alleged forgery and defamation of character, adding that some police officers from the IGP monitoring unit as early as 6 a.m. on Thursday entered Sowore's cell at the Force Intelligence Department in Abuja, with alleged pretense to take the media publisher to court, but when the journalist demanded to see the charges against him, he was allegedly handled roughly by a team of armed policemen. This, Barrister Adeyanju Deji petitioned the President of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, demanding the immediate dismissal of the IGP, Kayode Egbetoken, for allegedly abusing his office by thus using his high-ranking office in the Nigeria police force to settle personal scores, although the Nigeria police force has not reacted to these allegations, but the force in a press release on Thursday afternoon, apparently made statements in relation to the current matters involving the detained media publisher, Omiyele Sowore, by insisting and stating in the press statement that the recent promotions in the Nigeria police force was based on merit, and not selective, accusing an unnamed online platform of allegedly sponsoring deliberate falsehood to tarnish the image of the force, while also calling on officers and men of the force to desist from lobbying to get promoted, saying, The IGP has warned that any police personnel caught lobbying to get promotion will be made to face disciplinary action.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is me here. Tonight I've just been released by the police. You know, we told them that you can't sustain this, but they hear word now. So I'm in front of the IRT, just been released from detention after 48 hours by the illegal IGP and his people. What I told them when they arrested me is the same thing they are now living with, the fact that we can't hold an idea whose time has come. But I want to thank every one of you out there who's worked very hard, stayed all this night up late, ensuring that they didn't get away with this crime against humanity. And I'm just very excited to let you know that now.
Revolution! No! Revolution! No!
So sorry about your heart.
All right, guys. So we're going back to work.
Aluta continues. Their father's father. Yep. You don't get who they fear for the full country. Yes, it's spite their hand, their papa.
Yes, now.
It's spite their hand, we are going on.
We're going back to work, man. You know, okay. So we'll talk to you guys very much later in the evening after I will see a doctor now. But I want to thank our great lawyers, as you can see them. I thank my brother here. I'm the older brother, by the way. You guys know I came very well. He has not slept since I left. And thank you, Mr. Thank you so much for great music fireworks. All you guys out there, Black Boy, very grateful to all of you. The revolution has just started.
Yes, sir.
Yes, there's not anybody can go there. An idea whose time
How rich?
So, we'll be talking to you much later, because I have to check the hands. Once in a while, they have to try us to see whether we are still the people we say we are. Yes. So when they try it and it doesn't work, then they capitulate. All right. So thank you, everybody. You know, today I'm going to give them a bit of a break. Atiku, thank you. I heard you issue a statement. Peter Obi, thank you. Deji, man, I don't know where you are. Everybody was talking about here, Deji Adeyon too. Very dark man, Babaye, Juwon, take it back, guys. Mama P. Oh, Mama P, yes. I've never met you, even though I've heard a lot about you, Abuja. I hope to meet you one of these days. I saw Wise Man in Lagos, Jamil, everybody that's seeking, yeah, you know, A3, and a crew that came all the way from Lagos. I think they came here for a purpose and found this and they joined them. And I have to also especially thank all those retired policemen that I saw today. They melted my heart. They came and fought this battle. We are together until the exit CPS, and all our police friends. We have already created a police movement, so they will hear from them very soon. So they will hear. But there's no time to take time, man. Revolution now.
Femi.
Oh, yes. Oh, Femi Falana. You know, how do you thank Femi Falana? Now we're a special broadcast now. Yes, Femi, FF, thank you so much. And everyone, I know there's a lot of people I need to thank individually. I'll be calling you as soon as I have some time. But like I said, this is This wasn't even a vacation, it was part of the work. And we are going back to work. Thank you.
Osazuwakan Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Human rights activist and founder of Sahara Reporters News Network, Omiyele Sowore has been reportedly manhandled on Thursday early morning inside police cell by officers from the Inspector General of Police, IGP Monitoring Unit, after the journalist honored the invitation sent him from the Office of the Inspector General of Police for a reason not stated, but the media personnel working with Omiyele Sowore in a statement on Thursday, made available through the verified personal social media handles of Sowore, said that the police presented 2 petitions against Sowore over alleged forgery and defamation of character, adding that some police officers from the IGP monitoring unit as early as 6 a.m. on Thursday entered Sowore's cell at the Force Intelligence Department in Abuja, with alleged pretense to take the media publisher to court, but when the journalist demanded to see the charges against him, he was allegedly handled roughly by a team of armed policemen. This, Barrister Adiyanju Deji petitioned the President of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, demanding the immediate dismissal of the IGP, Kayode Egbetoken, for allegedly abusing his office by thus using his high-ranking office in the Nigeria police force to settle personal scores, although the Nigeria police force has not reacted to these allegations, but the force in a press release on Thursday afternoon, apparently made statements in relation to the current matters involving the detained media publisher, Omiyele Sowore, by insisting and stating in the press statement that the recent promotions in the Nigeria police force was based on merit, and not selective, accusing an unnamed online platform of allegedly sponsoring deliberate falsehoods to tarnish the image of the force, while also calling on officers and men of the force to desist from lobbying to get promoted, saying, the IGP has warned that any police personnel caught lobbying to get promotion will be made to face disciplinary action. According to the post published via Sowore's social media handles, the media team of the publisher said, this morning at 6 a.m., a police team led by a chief superintendent of police from the IGP monitoring unit forcibly gained entry into Omiyele Sowore's cell at the Force Intelligence Department in Abuja, claiming they were taking him to court. The team of 9 officers, including 8 heavily armed personnel, handled Sowore roughly when he asked to see the charges and notify his lawyers, breaking his arm in the process, before taking him to another police facility, the media team stated. In another post, the media said, the notorious former SARS officer, DCP Akin Fakorede, presented 2 petitions to Sowore from the illegal IGP's office, one alleged forgery and the second written by Bukola Yemisi Kuti, who was promoted to ACP because she's mistress, alleges criminal defamation. Sowore had, before honoring the police invitation on Wednesday, said in a number of posts previous day that the IGP monitoring unit has scheduled my interview for tomorrow at 11 a.m., yet they have refused to provide a copy of the purported petition against me. It is now clear that their intention is to conceal the sinister plan of the illegal IGP and continue operating in darkness. Despite this, I will honor the invitation, but not alone. I will be going with a full house. To all our revolutionary comrades, as always, we move together. Let every freedom fighter, every citizen of conscience, every voice of resistance assemble early tomorrow at the Nigeria Police Force headquarters in Abuja. Revolutiono, Egbetoken must go. They say the illegal IGP spoke today and sent fresh threats against us. We heard that the illegal Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoken, has issued fresh threats. But even his voice betrays him. His voice was cracked by incompetence, weighed down by immorality, nepotism, favoritism, tribalism. It was worn thin by the burden of failed leadership. We are Nigerian citizens who have faced down tyrants, dictators, and power-drunk men in and out of uniform. We've survived worse, and we've conquered. No amount of intimidation, propaganda, or empty threats can shake our resolve or derail our desire for a better, just, and dignified society. Aluta Continua, the Nigeria Police Force, in a statement signed and made available by the force spokesperson, DCP Olumiyiwa Adejobi, said, "The Nigeria police force has observed with concern the growing wave of lobbying and unofficial requests directed at the Inspector General of Police and the Police Service Commission by certain officers seeking special promotions. This surge was triggered by the misinformation being spread by certain media platforms following the recent approval of accelerated promotions for a number of deserving officers who have distinguished themselves through exemplary service. The force wishes to categorically state that these accelerated promotions were not arbitrary but were part of a well-structured reward system set up by the police leadership, aimed at recognizing officers who have demonstrated outstanding performance, uncommon bravery, professional excellence, and commitment to duty, and the officers who benefited were those who met the standardized guidelines for such accelerated promotion. The recent exercise does not signify the commencement of a general or indiscriminate special promotion scheme. In light of recent misleading reports sponsored by a particular online platform suggesting that the police force has initiated arbitrary promotions, the Nigeria police force firmly cautions the public to disregard such falsehoods. These reports are baseless, misleading, and intended to undermine the integrity of the force's promotion process. The NPF remains committed to transparency, merit, and due process in all personnel decisions. Furthermore, officers are strongly cautioned against lobbying or attempting to influence the promotion process through unofficial means. Such conduct is unethical, undermines the principles of meritocracy and professionalism, and will attract severe disciplinary action in accordance with extant laws and regulations. The Nigeria police force reiterates its commitment to a promotion system anchored on integrity, verifiable merit, and honorable service to the nation. Officers and men are hereby urged to remain dedicated, maintain discipline, and continue to discharge their duties with pride and distinction, the police stated. Human rights lawyer, Barrister Adeyanju Deji, in a reaction to the photograph of Omolayé Soware's hand wrapped with bandages at the police detention facility, said, Egbetoken, the most useless IGP in the history of Nigeria police, has ordered the detention of Sowore for criticizing his incompetent and favoritism promotions and other numerous infractions. How do you promote your personal staff arbitrarily just like that? The Police Act 2020 and Regulation 367 of the Nigeria Police Regulations forbids a police officer from settling personal scores and vendetta via the instrumentalities of their officers, but Egbetoken is too shameless to care and continue to abuse his office. President Tinubu must sack him now. Egbetoken must go. In an open letter and petition to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Adeyanju Deji said, and in quotes, that, Your Excellency, with utmost respect for the office you occupy, I write to draw your attention to the deepening rot within the Nigeria Police Force, NPF, which, if left unchecked, threatens to completely erode public trust and destroy the very institution meant to protect us all. Under the watch of the current Inspector General of Police, the force has become increasingly compromised by a pattern of conduct that has brought the institution into disrepute. The NPF has become personalized and weaponized, with growing reports of the force being used to settle personal scores and intimidate private citizens. The civic space has shrunk under a climate of fear. Peaceful expression, association, and lawful dissent are now treated with suspicion or outright hostility by an institution that should protect these freedoms. More disturbingly, the men and women who serve in the police force continue to operate under conditions that are nothing short of inhumane. Reports of nepotism, favoritism, and ethnic promotions above competence and institutional framework has become order of the day. Officers lack adequate welfare, modern equipment, proper housing, and fair remuneration, resulting into the recent police protest. The morale of the average policeman is low, and yet they are still expected to perform optimally. A force that is deprived of dignity cannot enforce the law with dignity. The NPF urgently needs reform, but reform cannot happen under leadership that undermines its very principles. It is in light of this that I respectfully urge you to act decisively by relieving the current Inspector General of Police of his duties and appointing a leader with a clear commitment to constitutional order and human rights. Yours faithfully, Deji Adeyanju Esquire. Punch newspaper reported that the coalition of united political parties and the Arewa youth ambassadors have called for the immediate and unconditional release of pro-democracy activist and journalist, Omoyele Sowore, following his recent arrest by the Nigeria police force. In separate statements on Thursday, both groups condemned the arrest, describing it as a violation of Sowore's constitutional rights and an abuse of police authority. National Secretary of CUPP, Peter Ame, said Sowore's detention flouts Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution, which guarantees freedom of expression and opinion. He said the police had turned into an instrument of oppression and called for accountability. We strongly condemn the arrest of Omoyele Sowore by the Nigerian police, an act that flouts Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution, which guarantees the fundamental right to freedom of expression, including the freedom to hold opinions and share ideas without interference. This arrest is not only unjust but also a disturbing misuse of police power, turning an institution meant to protect Nigerians into a tool for oppression and personal vendettas. This arrest is a blatant abuse of power and an affront to the principles of justice and accountability enshrined in the Constitution. The Nigerian police owe Nigerians a clear explanation for Sowore's arrest. Denying him his right to bail is indefensible and further exposes the misuse of authority to silence dissent. We demand his immediate and unconditional release, and if the Inspector General believes there is a case to answer, Sowore should be charged to court without delay, he stated. The Arewa youth ambassadors, in a separate statement signed by their national coordinator, Yahaya Abdullahi, also condemned Sowore's continued detention and gave the federal authorities a 72-hour ultimatum to release him or face protests across the 19 northern states and the federal capital territory. The group said Sowore's arrest was part of a pattern of harassment, alleging that state institutions were being misused to suppress dissent. They warned that a continued clampdown on critics could erode democratic values and civic freedoms. In line with this, the Arewa youth ambassadors hereby issue a 72-hour ultimatum to the Nigerian authorities to release Sowore or face nationwide protests in all 19 northern states and the federal capital territory. We will mobilize peaceful mass action in solidarity with Sowore and in defense of the fundamental rights of all Nigerians to freedom of expression and assembly. We call on all progressive forces, civil society groups, student unions, labor movements, and the general public, to rise in unity against the growing tyranny and misuse of state power. Nigeria belongs to us all, and no government has the right to crush dissent in a democratic society, the statement added. The police are yet to issue an official response to the reason for Sowore's arrest.
Osazuwakan Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way. Osazuwakan Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way.